Gruesome Magazine.
Hello, once again, I'm your host, Doc Rodden, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming and video on-demand horror movies. Each week, my co-host Jeff Mohr, Dave Dreher, Christopher G. Mohr, and I will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. Tonight, we are reviewing The Reef, Stalked, streaming on Shudder. Oh, a shark movie. I'm happy. All right, let me introduce the crew, starting off with Jeff Mohr. Jeff, how you doing, sir?
A farewell and adieu to you, Spanish ladies. I'm good.
You're good, sir. You are good. Also joining us tonight is award-winning filmmaker Christopher G. Mohr. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good.
Look out for the fin.
Something just happened there. I'm sorry.
Oh, it goes off, running off of the cloud. Running off of the
Land shark. Oh.
Oh my God! Stop! All right. Also joining us, rounding out the crew, is the one and only Dave Dreher. How's it going, buddy?
I feel totally unprepared. I have no props whatsoever.
No props.
No props.
Prop
Sorry.
free. Prop free.
I'm the carrot top of the groups.
Oh, there you go. Oh man. Oh, well, there could be worse. All right, guys, we are here to review The Reef Stalked, which is a sequel by name to The Reef that was filmed, what, Jeff, 12 years ago? 12 years ago.
Yeah, 2010.
Yep. And, but, we love our shark movies. Well, at least I do, and I make everybody else watch them. So, hey, they have to come along. All right, but what we're going to do is we're going to start off giving you our first impressions. That will be spoiler-free. There's no spoilers. It's a shark. It eats people. Hey, we got a movie.
Why are you Italian?
I don't know.
It's a shark in the water.
Hey, Luigi, look at the shark.
So then we'll dive into discussion, and we'll get into spoilers if we can find them, and then we'll wrap things up with our final thoughts, our score, and our favorite scene. Jump, jump, jump. All right, let's take a look at the card and get into things, shall we? All right, The Reef, Stalked, available streaming on Shudder beginning July 29th, 2022. Written and directed by Andrew Taraki. And Jeff, you said he wrote and directed the first one as well, right? And Blackwater movies.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
All right. The cast includes Teresa Lane. I'm going to go without. Anne Trung, Saskia Archer, Kate Lister, and Tim Ross. The synopsis is: after her sister's murder, Nick, her young sister, and two friends seek solace through a Pacific Island kayaking adventure. Hours into the trip, the women are stalked by a shark and must band together, face their fears, and save each other. Tagline is, your deepest fear will eat you alive. And that's a good tagline. All right. We hope you enjoy not only this review, but many others we have on the site. If you do, please hit the like, subscribe, or share with a friend. It will help us. And of course, we want to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. So let's start off with Christopher G. Mohr and find out what his first impression of The Reef Stalked might be.
Jaws meets Cliffhanger, aka Reef Hanger.
Reef Hanger.
Yeah, I enjoyed the movie for the most part. There were times where I was yelling at the people.
Nah.
I was like, they give you weapons, and you don't use the weapons until whatever. But anyway, I will say, when you, and I'm sure Doc could attest to this because he's seen a million shark movies, but all these shark movies, the special effects are horrible. And there's a few horrible moments. There's one with the sharks going at the speed of light or something. I was like, there's really no way a shark could move that fast in water. But actually, there was a few moments where I thought the special effects really worked when it came to the movement in the water and how, because they definitely pull the Jaws element where they realize, we don't have a budget to actually have a mechanical shark. We don't have the budget to really show this as much. We can show them in the water, so they're a step above the Requin or whatever that maybe is. But so they do a really great job of editing and creating atmosphere. And I'm one of those people that I saw Jaws at an early age, and I've always been scared of water. So I'm always scared there's a shark, or you see the movie Alligator, there's going to be an alligator in the pool when I go in the pool. So I'm just scared of any animals in the water. So they do a pretty good job of sort of creating tension where like they're making themselves to the boat and they're swimming, and you see like something coming close underwater. And so they do a pretty good job of doing that. But I think, and this is one of those things where they definitely try to tie in like an overarching theme with the characters, which kind of works for what it is. But again, there's just moments where the characters do things that are just so freaking annoying. It's like if you bring somebody who's not used to being out in the water and you just let her just float way away from everybody, that's just stupidity to me. And there's moments where they're together, the next minute they're like a mile away from each other. And so those type of things kind of annoyed me, which are, I guess, to create the tension and stuff. But I don't know. I just feel like they would have stayed closer together, instead of allowing people to float off. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It definitely made me cringe and curl up when certain things, because people can get, even though it's a CGI shark for the most part. But yeah, and it had some good acting in it. Had some good, although in the very beginning, it almost felt like, do all Aussies look alike? Because there was like these three blonde girls in the very beginning. It's like, I'm not sure if I can tell these people apart by the end of it. But then I was like, oh, they wear their hair in different ways, so that's how you can tell.
There you go. There you go.
But yeah, overall, it was an enjoyable film. It's actually one of the better shark films compared to other crappy ones they make out there.
There's a lot of crappy ones.
Compared to other crappy ones.
Yep. The sea is filled with bad shark movies and a couple good ones. Jeff Mercer, The Reef, Stalked. What was your first impression?
Well, so it's the yin and the yang kind of. I think, and Christopher talked about this, when you're in the water, it's like a natural scary element or environment, because there's a whole half of your world that you can't see what's under it, right? And once you start thinking about that, holy crap. And I thought they did a great job exploiting that, because I had lots of tension and holding my breath and stuff in different scenes where you're trying to figure out where the shark is and what's going on and is he close by and that kind of stuff. So that all of that, the tension scenes, and then the shark, I like too how they did the shark, and I agree with the one shot that he talked about. It was like they overcranked the camera or something.
Yeah, it was like Keystone Cops almost, yeah.
Or they cut a couple frames out of the middle. But anyway, other than that, it was pretty good. The shark was pretty good. The problem I have with it is what Christopher's talking about is I didn't like the arcs of the characters, and I'll get into details later. It just seemed like, I don't know. And I was screaming at the characters, and there were certain things that I'm just like, oh my God, you guys are supposed to be experienced at this, and you just did that. And there was just things that, I don't know, just kind of drove me nuts. So I'll get into the details later. So turn your brain off, watch it for the shark action and the tension and the what the hell's under the water and where is it scares, because those are great. And lots of shark kills, but not everybody dies.
Lots of shark attacks, but not everybody.
Yeah,
I don't know about those kills. Dave, sir, what was your first impression of The Reef?
Yeah, I kind of struggled with this one. It seemed, how long was this thing? Because I felt like I watched this thing for 4.5 days.
An hour and 32 minutes.
It just went on and on and on and on. And I'm like, it's like it was the same scene over and over. I don't know. I just kind of struggled with it. My first thought of it is it has the exact same story structure as The Descent, a much better movie that had nothing to do with sharks. But you got a group of women who travel around and do adventurous things. One of them has a tragedy. They reconvene at another time to try to make this person forget about the tragedy, and more tragedy ensues. But in The Descent, we had great character arcs, and we watched these people blossom into warriors, and some of them turned on each other, and all that kind of stuff happened. Here, we just got a bunch of bimbos who don't seem to know what the fuck to do, and they do everything wrong. And I found it just very aggravating, and they kept doing it over and over and over. And then the shark really didn't seem that big. I mean, it wasn't any shark is terrifying, but this wasn't like anything. I mean, you look at the poster and it looks like the shark's going to eat the whole goddamn boat. I mean, this just looked like you consider be a normal size shark.
Yeah, it's not as big as the shark on the
boat. No. And I was like, okay, well, again, not that wouldn't be terrifying, but it's just nothing out of the ordinary. So I found it to be just very blah, filled with a lot of stupidity and overly long.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you that some of the scenes felt longer than they should have been, but at the same time, as far as the scenes when they're under pressure from the shark, I thought those were handled well, and I liked the motivation. Even though they safely make it to an island, there's really strong motivation to now venture back out, and I thought at that point the film actually got strong. It actually improved on itself because there was a real reason for them to be there. It wasn't just because they were out enjoying themselves. They actually had to make it somewhere for a very very strong and respectable purpose. And they seemed, well, when they worked as a team, it was better than when they were fighting and stuff. But there's a lot of like, what are you doing? But at the same time, when they're heading to shore and they have to turn around, I bought why they would turn around and go back to help their friends, right? So it is kind of give and take, but in the end, for the shark parts, I really like it. For the people parts, not so much. I thought, I respect what they were doing with the main character's arc, what they were trying to achieve, but I don't know if I like how they handled it. Does that make sense?
It does.
I thought it was a little sloppy, and I don't think it conveyed the story real well. How they were doing the flashback PTSD that she was having.
Yeah, that just
really
seemed
work.
a little bit too. Visually it'll work cool if her sister dies by being drowned in a bathtub. So then they just kept reusing that stuff over and over. And I can understand how Dave might have thought it felt long, because so much of the film just takes place in this big mass of water. So, in most films, you move from one location to another, or even Jaws, takes place in different parts and stuff. So it's not all, but this, and there's long times where just, and it made me wonder, it's like, they shoot, like, I'm kind of wondering where they shot it, because that's a lot of stuff to have to shoot in the water. But yeah, and that's understandable. And yeah, some of it seemed a little bit too tidy. And also I feel like if she's so worried about, losing somebody, then maybe she should have stayed behind with the younger girl instead of everybody just leaving her last. What kind of people take someone on a trip and they let the most inexperienced person go last? That's just asking for danger, Although I will say, that the most tense moment is when she gets attacked by that shark, and I was thinking, I'm not sure if I would want to reach out and get the.
Are we in spoilers now, Doc?
We're in spoilers. Sorry. No, we are in spoilers. Yes.
Sorry, but
you're fine.
It's not spoiler that somebody's going to be attacked and they got to be all
okay.
It's a shark movie. They're getting attacked by a shark.
Yeah.
It's not a
So
spoiler.
tell me, how many of you said to yourself, "We're going to need a bigger boat"? I mean,
they all have the tiniest
also,
boat ever.
He can't stay down with 3 barrels. Not with 3 barrels, he can't. Only this one was a kayak. Yeah, he can't stay down with the kayak. But tell me, somebody explain to me how the hell that would hurt the shark. they said it would drown him, but that makes
Well, I was
no
trying to think,
sense
how do you drown a
whatsoever.
shark? Because the shark is underwater. So you can't drown a shark. You just
He
kill
holds
it.
it down until he gets tired.
Actually, I guess you'd have to pick it up and hold it in the air.
I guess you would.
No.
you would-
Sharks can drown if they don't keep moving. There's
Yeah, but that's not
species
going
of
to keep
sharks.
him from moving.
Right. No, I agree. The net's going to do a better job of that, actually.
So, and then just what you said, you take the most inexperienced person, you're going out in the middle of the friggin' ocean, and you don't train this person how to flip a kayak. I mean, you know the kayak is going to tip over. You know that's what they do. You know,
they're not. I don't know about you. I was shouting. It's like, why are you standing in a boat that's the most unstable boat you could ever have? So every time I was like, sit your ass down, woman.
Yeah.
You need to. So every time somebody would do that, it just annoyed me to know. And I just There's so many moments where it's like, how are these people? I was just like, Jeff, it's like, how are these people knowledgeable about being in the water? Because they're doing everything.
There's the one point where the two, I think is it Nikki and Jody get on the outside and the other one's in the middle and it's sinking.
Mm-hmm.
And she has to, I think it's already been rammed or something. And she has to get the bucket. These two, we already know we had to bail it some. These two get out and get over. Nobody bothers to put the bucket in reach of the one person that's in the thing that's filling up with water. So she has to stand up in the middle of the boat, create a like a minute of tension, which doesn't go anywhere. She gets the bucket and sits back down. But there was so many of those things that just I don't know. And then so what does she do? She's scared and she needs to start paddling far, so she drops the paddle. She can't flip. It got flipped. And then, when Nikki's gonna save her, it's like you couldn't have predicted it. She dropped the machete. Luckily, they were only in like 6 feet of water.
They're in the reef. Yeah, it's not.
But so you guys talked about character arcs. I just did not buy this Nick's arc at all. I thought it was ridiculous. She starts out totally oblivious to her two sisters' lives. Then she goes into PTSD over her sister dying at the hands of her husband or boyfriend or whatever.
Which is reasonable. I mean, that's what that character
right.
Right.
Disappears for whatever it was, 7 months or 9 months or whatever. Then she comes back and immediately becomes overprotective of her other sister and wants to do everything for her. You shouldn't do that. Let me help. I'll tow you because you can't possibly paddle yourself. God, that stuff, it just drove me nuts. And then she morphs into Xena Warrior Princess at the end. I just didn't buy it.
Yeah, I think they went. I mean, I get where they were going with it, and I didn't
buy. I sort of didn't buy. I now have a paranoid phobia over diving because my sister drowned in a bathtub.
I have the problem with that too. I'm not
saying that wasn't a traumatic event, but I'm not sure how that would affect her ability to dive. That just seemed like a stretch,
I feel like they went too far with that, right? They went too far that it's almost too dramatic for this kind of film.
All right.
Like if he drowned her in the pool, I think in a pool that would be more.
Or if she'd have been with her and there was a fight or something, and they were all underwater, So anyway.
Well, yeah, or I mean, or you just do the cliffhanger thing. Her sister gets killed by a shark in the water. So now she's afraid to go in the water. So
that would have worked perfectly.
That would be obvious. To me, it's like somebody was like, it'd be kind of cool if we did this visual of seeing her sister drowning in a pool in a bathtub of water, and we can do that as a flash. And that just seemed like a nifty thing they thought would be cool. And it, as much as I understand why they're doing that, it just felt like something that was forced so they could do that flashback visual, and it doesn't necessarily work in this instance.
So the other thing
it was a choice. It was a choice.
It was a choice. Yeah.
It's not like
necessarily a good one.
No,
but they reuse that choice over and over. There's like a million times where they insert that footage.
They have these three girls that are. they have these 3 girls that are supposed to be experienced, and Annie's the inexperienced one, and she's literally like the only one who's aware of her surroundings.
Yeah.
She's the one that first sees the shark 2 or 3 times. She's the first one to see the shark. And to start with, she sees it kind of a fish roll and wonders what that is, you know? So I don't know. Then she's the one who thinks of tying the kayaks together to the boat, which was really a pretty good idea. She's the one that gives Jody a pep talk, you know, anyway.
Yeah, it almost would have worked better if she was the lead. If it was her story of, overcoming, being the one that
well, anyway, I just
doesn't know what to do. Right?
Was that the only one?
Seemed clueless.
Go ahead. Yeah. Well, am I the only one that was thinking of the chum bucket scene when she was like pouring the water out? And I was like, that would have been a perfect opportunity for a shark scene.
Well, I know. I was waiting for it as well.
Disappointed.
I wonder if that's what happened, because there was a couple of them where, like when Jody gets knocked out of the boat, I didn't really see what happened. She went flying out of the boat, and then apparently her shoulder was dislocated or something. I hear somebody say, "I'm going to put your arm back in," but she never like grimaces or grunts with pain, but yet she's kind of, I don't know. It was strange. It was very strange.
Yeah, that didn't seem logical how that fell out of the boat.
So Dave, rate the shark. How was the shark in the shark movie?
Sometimes it just looked like lost Jacques Cousteau footage. The CGI, I guess the CGI stuff was okay. I mean, it was better than Asylum. But then when they would use the real shark footage, it was quite obvious, and it really did look like something out of Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom at times.
Wow.
So
wow. Okay.
Yeah, but it was serviceable, I guess. I mean, they probably didn't have a lot of money to make this. It wasn't overly distracting.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead and dive in. No pun intended. To our final thoughts, our score, and our favorite scene. Oh, why did I do that? Christopher G. Mohr, you are up first.
Yeah. So it definitely has some really tense moments. I think the acting was good. And it shot pretty well. But I think in those type of moments where like, we need to do a shark attack film. But we need to have some kind of underlying story that is separate from that, to sort of anchor it. And I think some of that stuff doesn't really work as well. And there's a lot of decisions characters make that are kind of infuriating at times. There's times where it's like you have like several weapons that you should use, or if you've attached a rope to your boat to another thing the shark's gonna take, maybe you should keep the big knife and cut it.
Yeah.
Be ready to cut it. The machete, cut it when the shark takes it. It just seemed kind of obvious, like, but again, like most films, if people made right decisions, they probably would stay alive a lot easier. So I don't know. I enjoyed it for what it was. I kind of figured, I do feel like that probably about 80% of the shark stuff did work. And it's not as noticeable as some films, although I think there was one time where you could tell they didn't put blood in the water. They just did that sort of like, we're going to use CGI floaty blood. Yeah, I mean, it's serviceable. I think it's one of the better shark ones if you can just get past some of the idiotic things the characters do. And it doesn't shy away from kids being in danger either.
No. So, there was one scene with the kid
at first I was like, oh, they could. I was like, there was like a Santos moment where like, oh, the shark could actually eat the kid. So I will.
He's debating, folks. He's debating.
I'll give it 3.25.
Okay, yeah. Respectable.
It's as for favorite scene, I'll say when the little sister, when she's when the shark attacks her boat. I think that whole scene is so freaking,
kid,
at least for me,
little
the
kids,
kid,
right?
the little
Yeah.
kid. And she's trying to get her thing, and then the kayak flips over, and then
Okay,
she's
so
got
not kid. Okay.
no, not the kid. I'm talking about
Okay.
the sister when she's out on that kayak, and her she gets attacked, and then her paddle's like floating away, and then she's trying to reach out, and I'm like, the whole time I'm like, oh, be careful, because that'd be the same thing, and then she's trying to get on the overturned kayak. That whole segment just had me like, had my nerves twitching. I was like, oh,
Yeah, it was well crafted. Definitely well crafted. Yeah.
I'm not going. This definitely does not sell me going out in the water anytime soon. I'll just say that much.
Not on a kayak, that's for sure.
or any big mass of water.
You wouldn't even get in a cruise. All right, Jeff Mohr, sir. What's your final thought?
All right, so yeah, I spent a bunch of time getting irritated with the couple of the character arcs and some of the stuff they did and things that were poorly shot or explained. But for the most part, it was a good tense ride for me anyway. And the shark stuff, that's probably pretty accurate. About 80% of it worked fine for me. I didn't have I didn't get the flashbacks to Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom or Jacques Cousteau like Dave did, but I mean, it was obviously some kind of stock footage, I think, but I thought it was well inserted. I think Penny was my favorite character, or Annie was my favorite character, the younger sister, because the other ones that were supposed to be the experts were they were almost experts to the point of they lost respect for the danger.
Right, overconfident for sure.
Too familiar with it, yeah. So. Oh boy, I'm gonna have a tough time here. I'm giving this a 2.75.
Oh, okay.
The good tense movie, but I don't know, irritated me. I don't know why it irritated me that much, but it did. Favorite scene, I'm gonna take when Lisa gets it. I think she's the first casualty to the shark. She's swimming back, and that bugger just disappears.
Yep, just gone. Dave, your final thought, score, your favorite scene.
Yeah, kind of overly long, kind of dumb. But again, they overcame a lot of obstacles in making this film. They had to. So you got to give them that much, because filming out in the water like that on those little boats, that had to suck. I don't know, just need a little stronger story behind it. We certainly didn't see anything new here, anything that we haven't seen 100 times before in other movies, other shark movies at the boot. I'm going to give it a 2.5 though.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Favorite scene, Christopher picked it, that scene where she fumbles the oar and has to get it, and the shark's coming. That by far is the best scene in the entire film. But since he already chose that one, I'll go with the scene with the two little kids on the floaty raft thing. And when they're going in, that really isn't my favorite scene, but it's probably the second best scene from the one Christopher chose. So that's it. Not much to say about it. It was there.
Yeah, I think that scene would have been a little more powerful if it wasn't so long getting to that scene, because it was built up for such a long time, because they went halfway there, they turned around, and they're going back, and you knew it was going to happen. So I think that pardon the pun, but it watered down that scene quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I know. It just comes to me. Okay, so as a shark movie with people in danger of getting eaten by a shark, it's pretty good. It's tense at times, and there are you have your set of stupid decisions, you have your set of smart ones, even if they don't work, or the way they seem to be at the time. I think the problem here is that to really get us into the story, the character arcs just weren't molded well. There were certainly strong intents with at least two of the characters, but I think, you know, if to me, they didn't really grab me or engross me, and they probably should have. So there wasn't really any suspense on living or dying so much, right? And that's really what this film needed to be a better film, is you needed to care about these characters so much that even the slightest fin coming out of the water, you know, made you fear for their lives. And they get there just by filmmaking, by this director doing a really good job filming the scenes in the water, and the editor editing them together. So it does achieve that, and it does, you know, utilize you know, the mass public, because of Jaws, you know, I would say the mass public fear of sharks and of, you know, what lives or lurks underneath the ocean below us. So yeah, it's an uneven, but I think fairly successful. I mean, I think, okay, so it's coming out around Shark Week, so it's perfect timing. There's, you know, if you're into sharks and you want something to scare you that you haven't seen before, the movie, not necessarily what they do with inside the movie. You've probably seen that, but this is a perfectly fine film to watch and enjoy during this time of year when this is the best time to do it. So yeah, it's far better than average. I think I'm going to give it 3.25. Did somebody else do that? 3.25. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that as well.
Christopher,
did you want to say something, Jeff?
I did want to say something. Did anybody else notice the shark growl?
I did not. I look for that.
I swear it growled. One of the times when it came zooming by and grabbed, you know, by the edge of the boat. I can't remember which one it was, but I swear there was like a rat, you know. Yeah. Maybe it was supposed to be water.
Filmmakers like to make sharks growl.
Well, Spielberg does that when the shark dies in the first Jaws film. So when it's sinking, you could hear like a monster growl, so like a dinosaur growl. Yeah,
but they actually start growling later in films. So my favorite scene for this particular film, I think you guys are right about the one scene where Annie's in the water, or, you know, tipped over into the water, and a little bit before that and then ending with Lisa getting gobbled is really well done. Another scene that I thought held attention, although I'm not certain I really like how it fully resolved itself, but I like the tension of what they were after, is when they have the shark in the net and the girl falls into the net too, and the shark's right there, and then they, you know, of course she drops the machete, she has to dive in, and they have to do the whole arc thing. But at the same time, that whole concept, the whole idea of being trapped in the net with a shark is frightening.
But with the whole situation designed to create a situation where she has to overcome her PTSD for diving.
Yeah, for Nick, yeah, but not for Annie, who's stuck in the.
Oh no!
I was more afraid for Annie. I didn't really care about what Nick was doing, but I was like, oh no. I think that, you know, when I talked earlier about that, you didn't care about the characters, and I think that was like, and I think it's like, you know, those dreams when you're running away and your feet get stuck in mud and you can't, or like in Nightmare on Elm Street when you're trying to go up the stairs and they go into the marshmallows. So, I don't know. There you go. The Reef, Stalked. It's on Shudder. Check it out. You know you want to. Let us know what you think down below.
Do it.
All right.
It's summer and it's a shark movie.
And the location, it's beautiful when they're in the water.
It is. The cinematography and the locations are great.
Well, there's a reason why people don't film on water, because a lot of times it can be very expensive. You know, I mean, even the Pirates of the Caribbean films became very expensive because of all the ships on water type stuff. So I mucho props to them, or however they shot parts of this, because sometimes they can hide it by having like a huge pool with the horizon you know, high enough to where you can see the horizon, so they can fake it. So it made me kind of wonder if they kind of faked it. But yeah, I think the definitely the production value is in the location for this film.
Yeah, definitely, and it's very effective. You never doubt that that's where they are. And you know, and I thought the being in the oh my god, I was going to call them rafts, but that's not what they are. What are they?
Kayaks.
I thought that was, I liked that idea, the concept of it, and I don't know if I like entirely the execution, but I like the idea of it.
Well, but I assume people do that. I mean, we did kayaks on the lake all the time, but it seems decidedly unprepared to kayak a long distance in the ocean. I don't know.
Yeah, that just seems, you're just asking to be shark bait.
Yeah, well, people do that, or the standing surfboard things. They do those too. So at least when they're close to shore. So, well, there you go. That's our review for the Reef Stalked. Jeff, Christopher, Dave, thank you for joining me. A lot of fun as always.
Dun 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 dun.
I swear I heard little hints of that in the music, but I'm sure it was just me projecting it. Did anybody else hear it?
I heard some swells.
Yeah, there was like, you can definitely.
There wasn't necessarily a payoff, you know. They'd have music. But...
They had. I felt a little, but I never really went full jaws. All right, guys, let's say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.